but your photos aren't great, it can really not make your website look good. And I shared a couple stats here that kind of back this up. There's 75% of consumers admit to judging a company's credibility based on the appearance of their website. So they're judging whether you can even do your job, whether your website looks good or not. So even if that has nothing to do with your ability to teach fitness, they'll view it as that. And 38% will stop engaging with your website if it's unattractive. So they won't even get to learning about your services if they don't have a chance to even look through your website. So even if it's not in budget right now to like schedule your own brand photo shoot, it's probably pretty common that as fitness professionals, your gym or an event you've taught at has had photos taken by a professional. So if you're able to track those down, you can add those to your website. Just make sure that you either connect with the original photographer or maybe the person that hired the photographer to get those original photos rather than taking them off Instagram. Tip 2 is to maintain consistency with your brand. So your brand is more than just your logo. It's your voice, the way you talk about your services, plus your photography style, color palette, fonts. But creating that consistency through your social media, to your website, to how you teach your classes is really important to give clarity for potential clients. They know no matter where you're showing up that you're going to be exactly what they expect, and that adds to their level of trust of you. So through your website, when you're writing your copy, when you're laying it out, if that can kind of look like all of your other platforms, then that looks like a very professional, consistent, trusted brand. Third tip is to not be afraid of white space. So this especially comes about when you're using a lot of copy. So I don't think a lot of text is necessarily a bad thing if it's all strategic and it's connecting with your audience, if it's telling a story, but it's the way that you lay it out on your site. So if you can break up large blocks of text, it makes it a lot less overwhelming and people are less likely to skip over parts of your copy. So you've probably seen this often where people do on social media where they break up their copy with lots of breaks just because no one wants to see a long paragraph and read it all. So this is also important in the overall layout beyond copy, but keeping space between your copy and your photos and between the edge of the page. Website is completely unlimited in the amount of space you get. So if you're able to, you might as well give all of the elements on the page as much room as possible. And I think this is one thing that really takes a site from looking very DIY to more professional. Like having that space for your eye to breathe just looks much more professional and relaxed and clean. Fourth tip is to clearly list everything you offer. This seems like an obvious one, but I think sometimes we forget that not all of our potential clients know all of the possible ways to work with us. So if they don't know for sure that you offer privates or that you have events or whatever it is, they might not ask you about it, even if it's something they think would be cool to do with you. If there isn't a clear call to action and a clear place where it's listed on your website, it gets a little confusing and they're much less likely to reach out. So I always recommend on your website to have a services page where you clearly list and describe all the services you offer and call to actions for how to book those. So whether that's a link to book a private session with you or a link to your contact page where they need to reach out, just have that service clearly listed and how they can sign up for it. And on the contact page, I also usually list the services just so that if somebody just goes right to the contact page, they know what you offer and what they should be asking about. The fifth tip is to encourage continued engagement. So you can do this with your website layout as well. So my rule of thumb is to never get to the bottom of a page and be done. Like, you want them to keep going from one page to the next. The longer they stay on your website, the longer they have to learn about you, learn about what you offer, what you've done for past clients. And the more they get to know you, the more they'll want to work with you. So really, like, having multiple spots along the page for them to keep moving and engaging with your content, but especially at the top and bottom of the page to get them moving from one page to another. The sixth tip is to place testimonials strategically. So this means not using a single page or a single carousel to list all of your testimonials. Word of mouth can be one of the best tools that we have for getting new clients. But if they don't see the testimonials, that doesn't do any good. So you really want them sprinkled throughout the website in as many places as you can. So you want to be, and ideally you want to be addressing objections of potential clients. So let's say they're like reading through your services, or they're on your contact page and they're debating whether they want to reach out, but they're like, I don't know, should I like pay this much for this service? Is it worth the cost or whatever? And then right there you have a testimonial saying, like, worth all the money in the world, this changed my life, something along those lines. It addresses the potential objection before they have a chance to leave your website and not reach out to you. So a lot of the places that I'll put this is on the homepage, on the services page when they're reading about everything you offer, on the contact page, really like on most of the pages. If I can put a testimonial, I put one there. But the most important spot I would say to have it is wherever they are about to purchase or reach out to you. The seventh tip is to make it easy for people to pay you. So this is something I see a lot in the fitness industry, just because it can be a little more, I think, casual a little bit. I've seen a lot of, especially like with quarantine, everything moved over to digital fitness so quickly that we kind of had to adjust fast and just did whatever we could to teach people online classes. So it's totally fine starting there and taking attendance for class through DMs, and then taking payment through Venmo, things like that. But it doesn't look so professional, and it makes it much more of a headache for you to figure out. So rather than like checking your DMs to see if somebody was going to take a class with you or what time it was going to be, and then checking your Venmo and make sure that same person paid for that class that they're going to be in, there's some different tools that I like to use to set this up in a little bit more of a professional way and have these set up processes that make it easier for you. So one of the tools that I like using is called Acuity. It's a scheduling software. So this works really well for booking one-on-one clients or group classes. And you can set up the group classes to generate a Zoom link or for in-person classes. But the nice thing is that in order to sign up for the class, they have to pay you. So it's nice that you get paid for your services before they can even get on your schedule. One of the other tools that I like is Shopify Lite or Thrivecart. So these work really well if you're selling on-demand workouts or products. Both of these integrate easily into a site and make it really easy to sell products. The other thing that I use a lot lately, I've been creating a lot more on-demand membership sites, especially for fitness professionals. So the nice thing about MemberPress, it's a WordPress plugin, so it protects any posts that you want protected that are just for members. So whether it's a fitness video or it's content that is specific to your knowledge and your niche, and you only want to give that to members who have paid for it, you can protect that content. But one of the nice things about it that I really like is that those posts are protected, but non-members can see the types of posts that you have to offer. So they know what are the kind of things that they could be getting with that membership. But when they go to click on it, it says, sorry, this is member protected. And then they're kind of incentivized to then go purchase the membership. The last tip I have is for creating a landing page for Instagram. So link trees are nice. They're a great way for us to share a lot of links. But if you have your own website and you have a way of doing this, you can create a page with all of your links for Instagram that's super cohesive with your brand, and prioritizes the links that are most important to you by creating hierarchy with the design of it. So while, you know, an affiliate link for an athletic top might make you a little bit of money, the thing that's really going to be moving your business or making you the most money is probably signups for your classes, or for a way for people to sign up for your email list, things like that that are going to move your business forward. You want to prioritize in the links. And then you can still have the links for the other stuff there, but if you're creating this hierarchy, it allows people to see what's most important before they get to the other stuff. And like I said, it makes it cohesive with your brand, with your website, and with your Instagram page in general. No one will go to that page and feel overwhelmed by like a long list of buttons. So that's all I have to share today. Like Kelly mentioned, I do have website templates made specifically for fitness professionals. If you use code ASweatLife, you can get $50 off any of those. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Christy. That was awesome. We had a few questions in the chat about photography. Like, do you use specific photographers, or do you have any recommendations on that, or compositions that you recommend?
Yeah, so I tend to pick photographers based on a brand, so whatever style they're looking for. But I do have a couple favorites. Alicia Tova is one of the ones that I use. I use her, or I recommend clients use her all the time. And Andrew Glatt, and I can add those to the chat too. But they both have a really nice style, and they work a lot with fitness professionals in Chicago.
Cool. Okay. And Gina actually just wrote a question that I also had about, because I've run into this in the past. So for people that either are just starting to create a website or redesign a website, like, where do you typically tell people to start? Like, I remember I wanted to just get into the design part. Like, I was like, I want to get into Squarespace and I just want to design. And then someone was like, you need to write your copy and then design. And I was like, oh. So can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, for sure. It feels like a lot when you don't know where to start. But I definitely recommend gathering all of the content first. So yeah, like you said, writing all of your copy first, getting your photography together. And when I work with clients, I always go through a sitemap. So we think about, the flow of the website and how you move from one page to the next. And if you're working with a template, that might not be something you necessarily need to do, but just thinking about initially what kinds of things you want to have on the website and an idea of how that layout would be, so that when you're looking for templates, beyond the design, what's going to work for you, because the design can be customized. I mean, you're going to be swapping out your photos, your fonts, your colors, things like that. But you want to know that the content or the layout of it would work for you. So then once you've picked a template, then you can write your copy in the order that you need and have your photos. And then it's really easy to just swap into a template once you have that set.
Okay, that's helpful. And as far as like platforms, do you typically use WordPress, or do you recommend Squarespace, or what do you recommend on that?
Yeah, my favorite website building platform is called Show It. It's really easy to use because it's totally drag and drop. There isn't any coding required, but you can completely customize the page. So I like Show It too because it integrates with WordPress. So if you have a blog, you can still edit your blog post in WordPress without like messing with the design at all. So yeah, that's what I recommend. I've worked with Squarespace before, and I don't have a problem with it. I just like the flexibility that Show It has.
Cool. I don't think I've heard of that one before.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, type it in. While you're doing that, I have one more question for you. And if anyone else has questions, you can drop it in, and we can answer throughout or at the end too. But Jenna asked about, can you talk more about the IG landing page? You're recommending you just link to your website, not Linktree or something like that? She wants more clarification.
Yeah. So when I build templates the templates and custom client websites and Show It, I create an additional page that's not linked in your website. Like you wouldn't go to your menu in your website and like see the Instagram landing page, but it's a link to a web page that then can link to the rest of your website. So it's a page designed in your website building platform. It just doesn't have like the same like header and footer of your website. It's specifically for that Instagram page. So it would then link to different pages to other pages on the website. And it's like designed as part of your website, but it's not like one of your menu items, if that makes sense.
You still, Gina jumping in here, so you still get the traffic and have control over the design.
Yeah, and you can see, and it's really easy to see like through Google Analytics, like where, like who's coming to your website from Instagram, and then like what links they're taking from there. So you can kind of follow the map in Google Analytics of, oh, they went to the link that I had in my bio, and then they clicked on my blog post or whatever it is.
Okay, cool. And then we'll do one more question for you. Do you suggest having a blog as a subdomain? I'm trying to learn how to incorporate a blog component on the website that provides services from Tori.
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily has to be a subdomain. I usually just have it be my main domain /blog. But I think a blog is really helpful if you have time to commit to posting to it regularly. I think it is a great way to like show your expertise and share knowledge, and it just really helps build trust with your client. One thing I usually suggest, if it's not something that you can post to like regularly, to leave off the dates if you can from the blog post, so that somebody won't go to your website and be like, oh, you haven't posted in 2 months. Are you even like active on your website? Things like that.
Okay. All right, cool. That was awesome. I think, so Melissa has one question, but I'm going to save that to them because it's about getting new clients, and I think Kate and Christy can probably answer that. So thanks, Christy. That was awesome.
Individuals, it's kind of a range, just because with my day job, I'm working with, that's an agency, so I'm working with larger companies, and then off to the side, I like to help smaller ones because, well, we're all fitness people, so we all need a little help. So I do that. Let me get this up, and then let me know if you can see that. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so when I'm going through, I'm gonna kind of take you through like what I would talk to someone on the phone about if they wanted to really start to like hone in on their marketing. Just because, as it was said earlier, everything's online right now. Everyone's online. There's not really much else to do as well. So it's good to be active online. And basically, the first thing that you're wanting to look at when you're going through your social media is, one, are you going to use your personal account for everything? Like, is is my personal account going to be where I try to drive business to when I'm doing Pilates, or do I want to set up a separate account for that and then start from scratch and really have to like hone in on that and kind of build that up from the bottom? Like you have to have a content calendar, you have to have your target audience, who are your muses. So you want to have like all of this stuff predetermined before you try to dive into it, because a lot of people will just try to log in and be like, I'm going to boost a post. And then that's where it lands. And sometimes it doesn't get traction, which is kind of a bummer. So first thing I always start with is audience. Who are you trying to target? Why are you targeting them? A lot of the time, your current clients or people you work with on the side are a great place to start. I always like to use the Lululemon example. I used to work for them. They have Ocean and Duke. I don't know if they still use them, but they did used to use them. So they've honed in on their perfect target audience and muse to the point where like Ocean is the woman. She, for example, is 32 years old, makes $100,000 a year. So good job, Ocean, with whatever job you're doing. She's engaged. She owns her own condo. She has an hour to an hour and a half to work out every day. She likes fashion, travel. Yeah. So it's like they've dialed in, and obviously it's working because we're all still buying it. And then Duke came along after once they expanded to their menswear. So they started with Ocean. That was the female. That was the one they put all their eggs in that basket. The thought process behind it was, if you're in college, you want to be this person. And if you're older and you already have kids, you're missing, it sounds horrible. They described it as you've missed your opportunity to be this person. So you want to be them because you're already past. Love that. I don't believe that, just to be clear. But that is their thought process, is like, it's this person everyone wants to be. So when you're thinking about your target, client, looking at your current clients is an awesome place to start, because it's like, okay, David comes to me 3 times a week. He loves it. I know he'll never leave. He needs Pilates because of X, Y, and Z. What do I know about him? How do I drive more people like that to my social media? In Facebook specifically, because Facebook bought Instagram, so it's kind of all lumped in together. You can track who is on your page. You can look at, basic insights of like age, gender, how often, what time they're looking at your page. That's a great way to know when to post. It's gathering all those little bits and pieces on the free side to be able to kind of build up your profile or the separate business profile if you decide to go that route. So there are free things you can do to just like kind of pick up on what you're trying to do, include hashtags. I'm doing Pilates, so hashtag Pilates, or hashtag fitness. I know it's very general, but sometimes that helps as well. There's even one piece of the Instagram puzzle where when you're posting, if you go in and under accessibility, I believe they may have renamed it, but under each post you can go in and describe in words what it is. So like, say it's a picture of me and my dog. I would put girl holding a dog. It's for people that are blind that want to use social media, so they know what they're looking at and what you've posted. But also it helps people find you because you're using keywords in that description. So when you're on Instagram, it kind of optimizes in that way. So that's one way to build up that audience. And then I'm going to jump back over to Facebook. So that was just a quick tip for Instagram. Facebook wise, there's going to be 3 things you absolutely want to have if you're considering running ads, or you want someone to do this for you eventually. You want to go in there and make a business manager account. That's how you set up your Facebook page, like your business page, if you're doing that, which would then link to your Instagram and have this nice little cohesive group. That also is a great way to gather leads. So anybody who's interacting with that page, you can look at analytics on the back end. So having a business manager is a really good idea. From there, ad manager would be the next thing. And these are all within the same web page on Facebook, but all different little like tools you can use. Ad manager is what you need for you to launch ads. You don't want to boost posts. Don't waste your money on boosting posts. A lot of people think that that's the same as running ads. It is not. I would not have a job if that was the case. It's what it does is it kind of just retargets the people that are already liking your page. It's not actually finding new leads and bringing those people in and driving traffic to your page. So you just want to be really careful of that. And that's, again, just so you're not wasting money. Even if it's $10, it's still $10. And then finally, this kind of loops in with the first talk. Make sure you have a pixel if you have a website. Having your pixel on your website, it sounds confusing and weird if you're not familiar with it, but it's not. Facebook even has very intricate descriptions of how to put it on your website and all that. There's tools to help you do it as well. But you want to have that because that really will track leads. It kind of, their click journey, which is, you know, say I see your ad, I click on it, where am I going after that? That's where you want to see what people are doing, because maybe you have this ad about 3 free classes, but everyone wants to know about your swimming program. So then you're like, gotta run ads about swimming because everyone wants to know about swimming. So it kind of helps you see where people are going after they've clicked on your ad, which generally leads to your website or a landing page. So those are just things to keep in mind. Again, this is the sort of consulting thing I would do for a smaller client on the side, is just kind of help them get this all set up, learn how it works. You're all very intelligent people. So once you get it set up, a lot of the time people can kind of roll with it themselves, or if they need help with content creation, that's another thing that I do as well. And speaking of content creation, I'm just kidding. Just ideas for posts. So like I said, you want to have a calendar, you want to have a game plan of what you're doing. You don't just want to kind of like show up on your Instagram or your Facebook and just post something. It's going to look sloppy. You're not going to have a theme. People are going to kind of be like, what the heck is this? If one day it's your dog, the next day it's a workout, then it's form, then it's a random cat picture. So you want to keep everything together, have it sort of tell a story as it goes through. These are just examples. You could do like workouts one day, a recipe the next day, maybe like what you like brand wise, if it's something you're interested in. Obviously, these aren't necessary 100%. Leisure, you can have kind of behind the scenes because people want to get to know you. That's a huge part of that. And then, you know, you can have form posts like do's and don'ts of a specific exercise just to keep people engaged and listening. They can ask questions. You always want to encourage that commenting and keep the engagement up at all times. So yeah, so kind of overhaul of my word vomit. You want to find your audience, consistently post to that audience, include as many testimonials as you can. It doesn't matter if it's the same thing your website says. If anything, it just makes it one large story, which is great. You want to be unique. Obviously, there's a reason people are going to you and not the person next door. So what sets you apart? And it might be something weird. It might not be something you expected. You could be funny. So maybe instead of a recipe post, you're like doing, you know, a little funny story about you or a joke, something like that, so that people know why you're unique to your industry. And then don't be afraid to kind of branch out. Recently, I kind of did a series on body image issues, eating disorder stuff I've been going through throughout COVID. You know, being locked in your house isn't really ideal for that. But I was nervous. I was scared to post about it, but the reaction was great. There was a lot of girls I work with that, you know, were feeling much worse than I thought they were. So it was just good to be able to like kind of share that with them. And then you make that connection because people just want to know that you're human on the other side of it. And I'll wrap this piece up quick. Oh, what's up? Oh, okay. If you run campaigns, you just want to make sure that you have a clear message, you're targeting the right people, and what's your objective? Are you trying to get new clients? Are you trying to get clients to your website? This was mentioned earlier as well. Make sure the imagery is clear. Don't have words all over it. Less is more, especially right now. Content and unique content 100% is what's running the show, just because everybody's running ads right now. So you just want to be mindful of that. And don't be afraid to not spend a lot. You don't need a ton of money. You could run an ad for a week with $100, $200 and get traction on that, get leads. You can retarget, remarket to those people. That's why that pixel is great, because it catches those people and then you're able to address them again later down the road if you're doing a promotion or something. And then again, this is sort of just a map of planning out your social media. So you want to do, maybe start with a week and then branch out from there. Am I going to do that every month? Am I going to shift the days around? And then from there, have a theme set in place. So again, you kind of want, maybe it's a color theme for a month. It could be something that vague, or it can be like, we're just going to talk about lunging this month. And it's like breaking down lunging for a full month. And it doesn't need to be a month. So just to keep in mind that you want to build that out as much as possible, and don't be afraid to kind of throw curveballs in there. And then, yeah, your people are out there, your clients are out there, they're looking for you, especially right now. You can target everyone in the world. So just don't be afraid to take that initial step. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't feel insecure if you don't know where to start. It's a lot, but once you kind of start digging in, you get really comfortable with it. You'll definitely see progress, and I'm sure you'll find some interesting clients that maybe you didn't expect. And then that's it.
Oh, wait, that was awesome, Kate. Before you pop off, someone asked if you could go back to that last screen. I'm assuming, Melissa, was it the schedule? Is that what you wanted to look at? I'm assuming that.
And I can send this to you. I figured you might,
Yeah.
if you wanted to email it out with that one.
Yeah, it was this one. And someone else asked about like how often about posting. Like, would you suggest once a day?
If you have valuable things to say for once a day, great. That's usually not the case. I try to shoot for at least 4 times a week. 4 to 5 times a week is usually a safe bet. But generally, yeah, you'd rather not post than post something that feels forced just because you feel like you have to.
Okay. What about with stories?
I feel like you can kind of go crazy with stories. People love those. Again, though, just making sure it's kind of all looped in. You don't want your Instagram to say one thing and then your stories up there to be completely off topic to the point where people are like, what are we doing here? So just make sure it's all sort of looped together, but you can have more fun with stories a lot of the time.
Okay. Do you use any sort of tools to help you like plan out posts?
Oh yeah. There's all sorts of websites. Buffer is really good. You can plan in advance. That you can actually link hashtags to as well. So sorry, Tilly. Every time she's like, "You're almost done. I'm gonna bark." You can use Buffer to plan hashtags, and it'll leave it as a comment, so that way it stays clean. So you can use that one's great. And I believe Adzuma might be doing free. One website switched to totally free. I think it's Adzuma, and that lets you track a lot. But they made a free platform just because of COVID, and they knew a lot of people needed help with that.
Okay, cool. That's helpful. What about like if you're a new trainer or fitness professional, how do you use social media or Instagram, Facebook as a tool to get new clients if you have like a smaller following?
Yeah. Well, if you're in a studio, you want to say when your classes are. I mean, that's in or out of studio, really. You just want to, as much as possible, blast out when, where. For example, in stories, if you were doing that, you'd want to do the hashtag of the city you're in, maybe if you're trying to get local people. But you constantly want to be telling people where you are, what you're doing, what the workouts look like. When I first started Pilates, I was posting a lot of my workouts just to get clients to kind of see that I'm doing the same thing they are. And that was sort of helping me branch out, doing even something like a promotion, linking up with other new instructors is fun, because that way you guys can kind of do like a tag team. Maybe it's a virtual giveaway where you each teach a class. So you can get creative with it to drive traffic. But definitely at the beginning, you really just want people to know who you are and what it is you're doing. So being very clear with that, having really nice imagery to go along with it. And then, like I said, linking up with whoever you can just to push that engagement.
Okay, cool. Solid advice. I'm going to open it up to anyone else if you want to come off mute or use the chat box to ask questions for Kate and or Christy for the last little bit that we have together. Feel free to do so now. Any website or IG or Facebook questions before we sign off? Going once. Amy, couple coming in. Amy asked, how would you recommend direct messaging potential clients?
Yes, but you have to be very mindful because you want to make sure your opening language doesn't sound like everyone who's trying to sell you skinny tea or whatever the heck everyone's selling online right now. So it's like, hey girl, dodge that. It's more so the people who have connected with me have maybe opened with like, oh, I saw you just got married, blah, blah, blah. I just got married. What workouts were you doing leading up to it? Stuff like that. Like you want to make a personal connection with them first and avoid the whole like, come on, let's work out together. So it's just being authentic to you, like how you would talk to a friend, but maybe like professional version.
I'm gonna come off mute to recommend something too that we haven't talked a ton about, but anywhere you can build up your email list is, and I think both Kate and Christy would agree with this, is a great way to sort of pull people to you, because then you don't feel like you're in a position where you have to DM as much. You can send out strategic mailers and offers and give people a way to redeem without having that kind of one-on-one, like, hey girl, here's my skinny tea. And back on mute.
Thanks for that ad. Christy, we have a question for you about if someone's already using WordPress, is it easy to transfer to Show It?
Yeah, so if you already have blog posts up, Show It will transfer those posts for you. So you just request a blog migration. So anything you have like written in WordPress, like as a post, those can be transferred. And it Show It integrates with WordPress, so you'll still be writing up your posts and everything in WordPress. It'll just go into a different design, basically.
Got it. Okay. Melissa asked, do you suggest we share our opinions on politics on Instagram?
What a dicey question. No, I'm kidding. Right now, honestly, that's up to you. If a part of your fitness vibe is you're loud and proud for or against something, then sure. If it has nothing to do with what you're doing fitness wise, I wouldn't go down that route, just because, I mean, if someone's going to pay me $200 a month to teach them Pilates and they like Trump, I'm going to take their money. Sorry. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's, why bring it up unless it's brought up by them? So it's just however passionate you are about it. If you want to use your platform for that, then use your platform for that.
I'm jumping in again. It's such a personal choice too. You see some fitness professionals like really like leaning into it and some leaning away from it, and you're gonna lose people or gain people either way, whether you do or do not talk about it. So it's all about staying true to you. So if one of your values and pillars is that you care very deeply about politics, the people who also care about those things and want to work out are gonna find you.
Thanks for the ad, Gina. That was great. Eileen asked a great question about, this is kind of imposter syndrome, I think. Any advice for someone who is so afraid to press the share button?
Press it. No, yeah. Honestly, sometimes I'll look up other people that I look up to that maybe are, like I said, the eating disorder thing. That was not like a fun post for me. And I was very nervous for like 2 days following, because some people were talking to me like I should be put away, and then other people like totally got it and it resonated with them. Again, this is much like the politics thing. You're going to find your people and they'll find you. And if it's not for some people or you're nervous to share it, just, I mean, end of the day, you have to stand for something. So if it's something you feel like needs to be shared and will help, then just do it. Go for it. You know, you can link other people to it. Just don't be afraid.
And if you want to pop, for anyone on here, pop your Instagram down in the chat box. We'd love to follow you and support you along the way too. Jenna, no, it's okay that you have a million questions. That's why we're here. But she asked any tools that you would recommend to sync up your mailing list and blog followers. Right now, someone has to sign up for my newsletter separately from my blog. Is that normal?
I don't know. I guess normally I don't have people like signed up for a blog. Most people, including myself, use like a newsletter to share that week's blog posts. So I'm not entirely sure like the answer to that question, but I like to usually include some way in blog posts to get people on the email list. So whether that's through a freebie or just some incentive to get on the list that's related to that blog post. So if for instance, like I'm talking about like the first steps to take to set up a website, one of my freebies is like a checklist, or it's prompts for your content. And so like I would share that on the blog post. Kate might have a better answer to that question, but
yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much what I would have said as well. I do know Facebook ads, a really great way to, on a separate note, to get that information. They've lead form submission ads where it's literally just a lead form, and then getting those emails and inputting them wherever you need to. That's going to be a quick way to transfer that info. If you also are looking for like some sort of form submission that's easily transferable with information of clients, Typeform will shoot information straight into an Excel sheet. They have a bunch of different add-ons you can do. So maybe that's a way to gather that info and send it elsewhere so that you're not kind of stuck transferring things yourself if you're looking to migrate things.
Okay, cool. And I think Gina popped in too in the chat with suggestion of using, is it Emma? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I was just giving a couple of examples of mail tools that have easy sign-up integration for websites.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Well, it's 2:01. This was great. It was so great to see all of you today. Thank you so much, Kate and Christy. Again, before we log off, if you want to put your Instagram handle for anyone on the call so we can all follow each other and support each other, go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, have a great Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? Thursday. It's Thursday. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you guys all on the interwebs. We'll have Delos on us, Trainers Connect for next month. So stay tuned for that. Okay, cool? All right, bye guys. Have a great day. See you soon.